I'd like to officially call the open board meeting for the Homeowners Association to order. It is now 10:30. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you could be seated. I would now ask that we have a moment of silence for our recently departed residents, friends, and neighbors, as well as those suffering throughout the world. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. We will now go for the roll call of board members. Alyssa.
Michael Messina.
Present.
Ed Whitman.
Present.
Mary Adler.
Absent on vacation.
Carol Butterworth. Here. Charlie Ron.
Present.
Thank you, Alyssa. The next step is usually the vote to accept the minutes, but we have a correction to the minutes. Last month, I stated that our new attorney was not on a retainer, and that statement was incorrect. He is. So, with that said, and with the understanding of that correction to the minutes, I would ask that we have a motion to approve the minutes from March 21st, 2024 open board meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Okay, I move to accept the minutes of March 24th, is it?
With the exception.
21st, 2024,
Okay.
with the approved minutes.
Okay. May I have a second, please?
I second that motion.
Okay. All those board members in favor of approving the minutes with the one correction that I mentioned, please state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state nay. The ayes have it. The motion for the approval of the minutes has now passed. Okay, now we'll loosen up. That's all formal stuff. All right, so the President's report usually includes things like motions, updates on projects. Today we will have a single motion to document at this meeting. I will now offer an explanation before the board acceptance vote and the motions. We have an annual contract in place for our janitorial services. These services have a monthly expense of $4,506.66. Or if you annualize that, it's $54,079.92 per year. There is no increase for this contract cost for this year coming up. And now I'm going to ask, may I please have a motion for the renewal of these janitorial services as I have just stated?
I make a motion to accept the 2024-25 janitorial contract.
Okay. May I have a second, please?
And I second it.
Okay. All those board members in favor of the renewal of these janitorial services, as I stated, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please state nay. The ayes have it, and this motion to renew the contract has been passed. And that's it for motions. Okay. Continuing on with the President's report. In regard to the cladding project, all the work on the buildings has been completed. We will now shift our focus on the outside of the clubhouse, and what that means is we now have to fix the drainage issues that help cause some of our structural problems. So those will be addressed at this time. So you will see work for the rerouting of water off our roofs. This means extending pipes above and below ground level in several areas. Then we will be reducing the front flower beds in size with the installation of sod, so that we go down to a single row of bushes, as well as reduce the cost of mulch, for this year and future years. Let me explain it. So the flower beds are big. We're gonna cut them in half. We used to have 2 rows of bushes. We're gonna go down to 1 row. We're gonna try to make it, how do we say, minimalistically pretty and spend less money. And then if you have less area to mulch, with the legislature from the state still up in the air, then you'll be putting less mulch down year after year after year, so you're doing away with that expense. And I think the mulch rate is $1.80 per square foot, and we will reduce the tonnage of mulch in half. So, and we're preparing, still waiting for the legislature, whether we can have mulch up against this building. Okay. All right, that's that. I have something informational. Every year, we undergo an independent audit on the HOA's finances. We are in the middle of that audit now. At the conclusion of that audit, there will be a report out from the Finance Committee, as well as a motion to accept the results. There will be more to come on this. I'm going to say this, we always do extremely well with the audit. In fact, we've gotten compliments from the independent auditor that Lake Ridge is one of the most sound homeowners associations that they see. We're in the top 5%. We anticipate no problem, but the audit is not completed yet, and you'll get more information on that. Okay, lastly, as a follow-up to a topic raised last month and at prior open board meetings, I would like to try to kick off the Helping Hands project. This is not a program that through the HOA. We have adopted a draft document outlining what this project entails. Brian, can you stand up? Okay. My buddy Brian Lilienthal has a one-pager on the program for anyone interested. There is no one presently in charge of this pilot program, given that it's homeowners helping homeowners. And Brian is just helping me out by handing out the one-pager. Simply stated, the Helping Hands project involves residents helping other residents for extremely simple things, like changing an air filter and or changing batteries and smoke detectors. That's it. A lot of people, a lot of our elderly residents have trouble with that, and for them to call someone in and get charged $30 or something, I think a neighbor can help a neighbor. So there'll be more to come with this, as has been mentioned, and we've been a little slow in getting this going, but I would like to thank Ray, because Ray has went out and found what other communities do in this Helping Hands project, and we kind of use their guidelines in the draft document that Brian has. So anyone interested in helping another neighbor, there's now a method. Again, the HOA does not sponsor it, because then we all, including you, the HOA assumes liability. So this is a neighbor helping a neighbor. And that's it for my report. We'll now move on to the Vice President's report. Ed?
Good morning and welcome. As liaison to the Grounds Committee, I would just like to make several remarks. The trimming of the trees around the lampposts has been completed as of late this week, a couple of days ago. So that's number one. Number two, with regard to the erosion problem around the slopes of Lake Ridge, we've received a number of concern sheets, and we are aware of the problem, as I think most of us have been, just passing by and seeing that it's unsightly. So we are considering the possibility, if there are funds left over from the tree trimming project, to use some of those funds to remedy the erosion with either plantings and irrigation or suitable ground cover that could be used to beautify those areas. This is something that we're considering various possible solutions to. Number three, the vegetable garden plots will be retained by the gardeners from last year. There are some open plots available gardens. Gardens. Plots. Plots have a certain mordant connotation, but there are gardens available. So if you desire a garden, please see me after, and I'll make a note. The irrigation problem for down there is somewhat insoluble. We cannot put in a pump and an on-demand system which would enable people to fill their buckets from an on-demand faucet. It's simply prohibitive. But one suggestion that was considering, and I think is a likely possibility, it's cheap, would be rain barrels, collection of rainwater that people could dip into to water their plots. And it would even collect the surplus sprinkler water. So we were thinking about that. Finally, with regard to grounds, just reminding you that without application to the grounds committee for approval, it is against the rules to put anything into or take anything out of the common grounds. So please remember that if you have any ideas about doing that, please apply to the grounds committee for approval. That's it for the grounds committee. Now, I've also been asked to read in lieu of our absent treasurer, Mary Adler, the following report. So this is the treasurer's report for the month. Income statement for the operating fund. For the 3 months ended March 31st, 2024, our net income was better than budget by $25,657. The principal factors that contributed to this favorable variance were income, $25,193 better, $687,737 budget versus $712,930, which was the actually approved budget. The surplus carryover from 2023 was $28,248, better than budget. Everybody followed that because I didn't. Expenses, $464 better. The budget was $587,065 for the budget versus the actual expense, which was $586,601. During the month, we paid our contractor $38,918 for snow removal earlier in the year. That was not reimbursed by the township. For the 3-month period, we spent $42,321 on snow removal versus our budget of $45,000. The balance sheet consolidated. As of March 31st, 2024, our cash and invested funds totaled approximately $2.8 million, most of which was in the replacement fund, which had a balance of approximately $1.95 million. The funds held in the replacement funds are invested in CDs insured by the FDIC and U.S. Treasury notes, in money market funds, and some funds held in cash. Thank you.
I'd just like to add something with that. The snow removal, how do we put this politely? We are concerned that the township has not reimbursed us for what we did in terms of snow removal. It came down to them saying X number of inches fell, and we think more than that fell. So if you remember, there was that one snowfall where it was easily 3 inches. And that's kind of the cutoff point. The township said it was 2.75 inches and consequently didn't reimburse us a penny. Ray is trying to fight that. So we're not accepting that because we think it is unfair. Because there were areas in Lake Ridge where it was clearly 3.5 inches, and I can say there were areas that looked like 2.5. But overall, I think we received, and we had to do the roads. The board made a decision because we felt it was unsafe. In a similar fashion, we put down rock salt, we put salt, we salted the roads. The township didn't reimburse us a penny for any of that, not one penny. Ray's trying to fight that. So if we can, then we will attempt to get money back from the township, but it's like asking for money from the government. Good luck. But we're not going to let that sit. That's all. So we did the Vice President report, Treasurer report, and now we'll move on to the Secretary report. Karen.
Thank you. It was just a year ago that I ran for election for the board for 2 years. I was installed at the May 2023 meeting. It's been an interesting year. The clotting project, the new landscaping company, the new lawyers, a lot of changes, really. But being the board liaison for the Documents and Policy Committee, I'm happy that our new legal firm, appointed in March, got back to the committee in April with its review. No doubt ARC and the Grounds Committee also are very happy about that. The committee next met with the board of directors and got its approval. Next, there will be a town hall for homeowners, and our lawyer will be present if you have any questions. And a few weeks after that will be your time to vote on certain items. Okay, regarding pedestrian security, the ramp at the back entrance to the clubhouse is scheduled to be fixed, finally. We had to get 3 bids, and there was a delay. It will be lowered straight across, not just in the center. And also, we'll have a rubber mat. No doubt this will be a relief for everyone, especially those with canes or walkers. That's my report, short to the point.
Just to add a little something there, the ramp in the back, things have changed. Now, when you have a handicap ramp, I think you've seen them maybe in town, there's the rubber mats that have the bumps on them that make it better, what is it called? ADA compliant. ADA compliant, and also makes the traction better. So this may not have been an issue in the past, but we're looking to remedy that situation. So that's it for that. So we'll now move on to the Director at Large report. Charlie?
Good morning, everyone. The home sale committee town hall meeting schedule for tomorrow is postponed and will be rescheduled. The ARC committee has asked me to mention to you folks to please look in your May views for an article pertaining to various ARC issues. St. Patrick's Day and Valentine's Day are now official holidays, and outdoor decorations are permissible 2 weeks before and removed no later than 1 week after the particular holiday. And that does not apply to Christmas or Hanukkah, which is 3 weeks, which is Thanksgiving weekend, and then 3 weeks after those particular holidays. The ARC committee is actually starting to amp up a little bit now with applications, and they wanted me to remind you that May 1st, the ARC property cleanup campaign begins. So please inspect your properties, focus on mold on your homes, any loose shutters, faded paint, dead landscape, trees or bushes, and please take care of those to avoid any violations that could come down the pipe. The gym committee, there is a second fan that has been installed in the gym, and also we are still looking into putting some air purifiers in the gym, and a 43-inch smart TV has been ordered and will be installed in the TV in the gym to replace the TV that is in there. I think that's about all. So, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll now move on to the manager's report. Ray?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Just to start off, for maintenance report, you may have noticed 2 people missing this week. David came down with a severe flu last week and has been out all week. We've been checking with him day to day. He's been out, as well as Tyler had a pre-approved vacation for this week. So some of the stuff we're working on temporarily tabled. David will be back hopefully on Tuesday because he has jury duty call on Monday. Tyler will be back next week. I would like to thank the individuals that did help during the week for setups and breakdowns of the different events, mainly the office staff and some of the board members. Ed, thank you very much. It was a lot of work, but we got it done. But if anybody wants to stick around after this meeting, it'll be appreciated. Going into some of the projects for 2024, as I mentioned, the last couple of months we have our retaining walls and we had inspections done on them as far back as October. We had the capital reserve study updated to reflect real-time and real issue repairs on these real-time walls. And just a couple of weeks ago, having gone out and taken a look at them, there's 2 sectional walls that are concerning. They're aging a little bit, they're starting to bow. With the suggestion, we went out to 3 engineering companies to get bids and come out and do a study on those 2 walls. If we do need to repair those walls, better than temporarily add or repair a tie or 2, we may look at a different type of construction. I did receive all 3 bids from the engineering firms, and we'll be sitting with the board shortly to go over those bids with the finance committee. We did mention repair inspections have been mentioned, I think, every meeting since January on the tennis courts. And the contractor finally came out about a month ago, promised us a quote on the repair of the cracks in the tennis courts. That will be forthcoming next week, and he will be out scheduled for next Friday to start the remediation on the bocce court. Of course, with his reliability, we'll be keeping an eye on that and keeping in contact with him. So we did do inspections for walkways, any concrete walk, concrete sidewalks, some concrete around the shuffleboard court. They were done. We have one last company actually going around this morning at the sidewalk repairs to get a quote, and that'll be in front of the board within the next 15 days or so we can look at a spring, early summer repair. The concrete ramp is also included with that. Make it all one concrete package, make it a lot easier for the companies. A lot of concern the last couple of weeks over the fountain closest to the clubhouse here. If everybody remembers, that was a total replacement the end of last year from Blue Creek Blue. And they, as I mentioned last year, they condensed their service area to stay up in the Succasauna area where they are, and we had to get a new company in here, Black Lagoon, now called Tigers. We had, starting out when they did the installation, we had what we thought were the same problems as existing from last year with clogging, algae clogging the pump on the fountain. And they could not come out until this past week due to the water temperature to add the treatment to get rid of the algae. So David and I, we would be turning off the fountain at night, letting whatever algae blockage was there subside, and then turn it on in the morning. They finally came out and they did the algae treatment Monday. They did an inspection on the fountain and didn't find any real algae buildup. But if it happens to come like it did last year, from what Great Blue told us, we are considering that we have worked out a plan to move the fountain to a less congested area. Also, they were able to successfully install the replacement light connection assembly and hook the lights back into the fountain. That was part of the project from last year too, but when we took the fountain out for storage, we found that the existing electrical wiring there was corroded and opted to wait until this spring to get everything fixed up. When they found that the replacement light connection, the RF controller for the lights needed to be replaced. Luckily, that's under warranty. They've already ordered the new part, will be in shortly, and we hope to have this all taken care of within the next 2 weeks. A fully functional fountain that lights up at night and no more algae. But we'll keep an eye on that as we go along. And as Mike mentioned, I just wanted to reiterate on snow and landscape service. With the snow removal, with the contract, the Township Public Works Department approves any treatment prior to it being started. They say that they will only approve snow removal up 3 inches and above, to which they claim it was 2.75 inches. They also said that with the treatment that we did, there were 3 salt treatments in the streets and the parking lots, that they were not authorized as well. I contacted several times the gentleman over in Public Works, who also happens to work with us with the reimbursement for township lighting and waste and leaves, to get an appointment, and we're still trying to schedule a date. I'd like to go over there, and I want to go over there with the meticulous owner to discuss this. Number one, if we're not authorized to put salt down or treat our roads, why are they out the night before treating the main roads? Obviously, there's some concern about that.
Out in Tom's River,
Pardon?
out in Tom's River, they're treating.
Tom's River, they're
roads,
treating
you
the
can't
other
treat our
roads. There's other communities in Tom's River that had approval to snow removal. If the ION snow report reports 3 inches, say down in Homestead or someplace else, it should be 3 inches all across the board. So obviously, it's a new contract established with the new landscaper. It's the same terms as previous, but I have a lot of concerns about it, the board does, and we're gonna try and sit down and get some satisfaction on this, or some kind of clarity. If you want to call it a good thing, we were under budget for the snow removal, but you know, it's not a big consequence. We still have to spend that money. So that's something we'll be looking at with this snow removal in the township. Now, as far as landscaping, meticulous landscaping provided the first application this past week. The pre-emergent went down. The entire community was done. However, it's a cost-saving project and time saving. Is that they only flag the corners and side streets of some of these areas, all the areas that are treated. They will not, like Turfmaster, flag every home. But if you have a question about your residents being treated, as we had some people, we will call them, their foreman comes out and will either verify that the area was treated, or if it was missed, they'll retreat it for you. The cutting schedule, which was blasted out this past week for April and mid-June, it's a 4-day cut schedule. We had 2 days with Turfmaster. It's 3 days dedicated to the homes and 1 day dedicated to the common areas and clubhouse. So you can count on Wednesday to Friday, they're out there mowing the homes and residents, and they're doing the common areas on the Saturday weekend. They're going to start on the 17th to the 20th. They're out there yesterday. They're out there again today. They'll be cutting next week, and cut 3 on May 1st to the 4th. They'll be edging and sidewalk spraying. Now with the 27 cuts, it averages out to 7 to 10, 1 cut every 7 to 10 days. In between each cut, every other cut, the detention basins are done. However, if they do look overgrown outside of that schedule, we call them up and they'll come up and take care of the detention basins as well. Again, anytime we do a fertilization or a treatment, we have the safety data sheets in the office. If anybody's interested, everybody wants them. We try and get all the information out to everybody ahead of time. And there was just a comment got last night regarding bagging or mulching. What are they doing? In talking to Meticulous when we first interviewed them, they are more on the natural side of treatments. They, especially starting out with the grass being as short as it was, they recommended mulching because it would add nutrients to the soil. In finding out some of the areas that, some other communities that they did, there is a dump site in Southern Ocean County where a lot of the local landscaping companies would dump their grass and debris. In doing so, the DEP was down there last week and stopped all dumping in that area. What they said was that it was unauthorized, that if anybody caught dumping in that area, was, even though it's grass and branches and landscape materials, they could have their equipment impounded or be fined. There is one other spot in Jersey that they can, in this area, that they can dump all the debris, and that's over in Camden. So that's a little, and then it's $25 a truckload, so that adds to the cost and time consuming, so that would obviously impact, not so much the contract we have, but any service we may have. They did say, number one, that they will continue to mulch. If the cut goes through and there's heavy clumps, they'll go over it again to provide that it's a shorter cut and that it can get absorbed into the soil. If anybody has any questions or concerns about that, they can come see us. We can keep an eye on it with you. But they are, as they did during the interview, very, I'm going to almost say holistic with their landscaping approach, with the chemicals they use, with the treatment that they use. And we're looking forward to some good results, but we'll keep an eye on it. And one more thing, we did get some complaints regarding garbage cans. We're reminded that garbage goes out, it has to be in a 32-gallon lidded can. They can go out the night before, brought in the next day. Just a concern with people putting out their trash in bags and boxes that can be opened up by animals or spread during a windstorm. It is a standard, but we just wanted to get that reminder out. Thank you.
So I just wanted to add a couple of things to Ray's report. To be clear, the retention walls, the replacement of retention walls is something that is budgeted in our reserve study. And recently, last year, we upped the money for the wall replacement because the present technology and the present cost went up. So luckily, we were ahead of the game by revamping the numbers last year. So what we've noticed is with all the heavy rain that we've recently had, the walls were under a lot of pressure from the water, and some of them are leaning. So we may have to, we originally thought that in 5 years that we were going to have to start replacing them, but maybe there's a couple of sections that we're going to have to replace this year. But more to come on that. But the money is accounted for, just so you know. And what goes kind of hand in hand with that is we are not going to be paving the carry, the last phase, this year. And when we do that, and I'll ask Bill, and I think I did this last time, it's $460,000 that we can accumulate a year, give or take. So if we avoid doing it this year, that's $460,000 that goes into our reserve money. And if we don't do it next year, it's another $460,000. Now, at some point, we will do the Vicari, because people say, well, I live on Vicari and you're not doing my street. And I say, it's not that bad. We're trying to recoup our money. And by the way, I live on Vicari as well. I don't know what to tell you. So you know, there are things that are happening. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank a couple of committees. I'd like to thank all the committees, but in particular lately, the Finance Committee has been working very diligently with the audit, and we always come out looking marvelous. And we had a committee doing the bylaws, review of the bylaws, as Carol stated. It really wasn't getting traction, and all of a sudden, it got kicked into gear, and we should be open for a vote on several things that the bylaws are changing within a couple of months. Now, this thing's been dragging out there a long time, so due to the diligence of the committees and getting our lawyers' attention, you know, it looks like it's moving along, all right? So I'd like to thank the Finance Committee and the committee that is reviewing the bylaws, and Bill is an example, and Steve Agresta back there is doing marvelous jobs. I'd like to thank them, okay? next month the elections for board member positions. And now the election committee does a lot of work in a short order period of time. I'd like to thank the election committee, thank you for reminding me. Well, it happens once a year, but the May meeting is devoted to the elections. And the election committee takes care of that. Nancy and company, I'd like to thank you all, all right? Okay. May I please have a motion to complete the business portion of the meeting? Need a motion?
I so move.
Okay, may I have a second to
I second it.
Okay, the board will vote for the completion of the business portion of the meeting. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it and the meeting is now closed.